Hi, I'm Paulie.
I'm GP, and
And
this is the happy class. It's an interesting thing that since you've been mainly in the US while this has occurred, um, I I think there was an article I read last year that um, more people decorated their houses for Halloween than Christmas.
really,
Yeah, and I think partly it's the weather's better. So,
mm.
if you live in a place where it gets really cold,
So you're not
winter
doing
decor.
the Clark Griswold out in the snow, kind of hanging off the roof things.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to do Halloween, and it's sort of Halloween is, even though it's a bit like Christmas, so nobody knows where it comes from, but it's actually coming from All Saints Day, right? Which was the day after, right? So Halloween was a celebration where you could eat a lot before All Saints Day, in like Italy or some crazy place.
Mm.
Uh, but it's gone to being a non-religious, universal, more than even Christmas. I mean, Christmas is pretty non-religious, universal, but Halloween is pretty much it. And it's more because kids go to door, which they don't do really in Christmas. It's
Mm.
actually more social in that sense. And so the community gets more into it. And, people come to your house to see your decorations because they're coming for candy or whatever they're coming
Yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
It's interesting. So the origins of Halloween for me, from what I understand, they actually go way back
oh, it
to
adopted a pre-Christian
right.
holiday? Yes.
There was an
Yes.
Irish holiday, not holiday, but there was an Irish
Celebration.
celebration, pagan. I won't use the word term festival, but it was called Samhain, and its origins allegedly are when people would dress up to ward off evil spirits. And
Ah.
we used to carve turnips instead of pumpkins, which pumpkins are hard enough to carve. Turnips,
But turnips are like,
yeah, I mean that's hardcore. You really wanted to fend off evil spirits if you got into carving a turnip, but
ah,
but yeah, so
I,
it was and I've seen more. I've actually seen like the Irish Tourism Board promoting that, like, so
yeah,
they're not
Irish Halloween.
right, but it's
Is
not.
it on the same day?
Well, we're not content. It is well, it that Samhain has its origins and it's evolved worldwide into Halloween. So I think it's the whole Irish play to slowly conquer the world. We gave you St. Patrick's Day. Now we're giving you Halloween. We gave you whiskey. We gave you Guinness. What more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, we're it.
Yeah.
Who needs to go to Brazil to have a good time?
Well, I don't know.
Except,
You've been to Carnival, right?
I've been to Carnival. Yes.
That's on the bucket list. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
But
Brazilian Carnival is definitely a tribute to the country's spirit. How's that? It,
yeah, very much
because
so.
they talk about in the US, we have Carnival, especially in the South, New Orleans and places have Carnival, right?
Hmm, hmm.
And other countries, Germany's big on Carnival, and France loves Carnival, and they all think they have Carnival until they go to Brazil. And then they discover an entirely, it's not a level up. It's two levels up
If
from
not more, yeah,
the
yeah.
celebration anywhere else.
Hmm.
And I tell the story of, again, it's what's wrong with a country that can take a week off no matter what's going on to have a good time.
Hmm.
I'm thinking that's a culture that needs to spread. You forget about the Guinness. I mean, just spread their week of having a good time. But I went to this little town in the south of Brazil on the island of Florianopolis, which is an
Hmm.
island in history, but it's got a big bridge now, so
Okay. Yeah.
it's not really an island anymore. Anyway, I was in this little town, probably maybe less than 2,000 people live in it. Um, there were 10,000 people lining the parade route, I use the word route very cautiously here because from my vantage point, which is pretty much the same as everyone else's, just hanging around, I could see the beginning of the parade.
Hmm.
Okay. And it was 2 blocks to my right, and the end of the parade was 1 block to my left. Okay. And it took almost 2 hours for the parade
Wow.
to reach my spot. The parade consisted of one vehicle, a
Hmm.
flatbed truck with a band on the back
Hmm.
and some dancers. Yeah, that was the parade. And it took that truck 2 hours to go 2 blocks
Brilliant.
because they don't really go very fast. And by the time I got there, everybody in front of me was drunk on the ground anyway. So I had a great view. But no, I mean, it was, you know, it's
Yeah.
a total excuse to have a party.
I think
And it lasts all week. I mean, the next night I went to another village a little further south where the crowd was 25,000 people in this park at the end. Yeah, who knows what time I left. I walked back to my friend's house, which was 4 or 5 miles away. Actually, I didn't walk the whole way up. Some guys from England that I met standing around were
hmm
driving by and saw me walking and said, you want to lift back to your house?" I said, "Sure." So some strangers I met. This is the Brazilian week. I mean, it's everything. Everything goes to even. It's really kind of a special thing. There are no uh, extra fancy titled people. I mean, there are. You're in Rio and da da da, and you got the penthouses and all that crap. But in reality, everybody's having an equally good time.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think there's something, as we talk about, you touched on it as we were talking about Halloween and the kids running around and just happiness, right?
Yeah.
There's a certain type of happiness I think that can only happen when people come together. So you know, I think that there's certainly happiness by yourself or within yourself and contentment and peace,
Yeah.
right? Just by yourself. I mean, go off into the wilderness and whatever that
That's
may be.
most of what the happy class talks about, by the way, is personal in yourself happiness. But
Yeah.
keep going.
But there's a
I'm
certain
following
type of
along.
happiness. Like, um, my father-in-law sent me a video. He's from Argentina and he sent me a video. So we're back down in South America. He's at a soccer game and the crowd is just it's just a video and the crowd is just going mental, right? And if you've been to a football game, it, there's just again that level of
I
noise.
went to a Barcelona Madrid game
W- in the States or back
in
there?
Barcelona.
Okay, so you went to the
I
Classico.
went to a real, yes, I went to a
Yeah,
real,
yeah,
European football
yeah. So
match.
whether it's like a small number of people coming together, like if you think of the increasing circles, you have your family gatherings, and then you have your community gatherings, and then festivals like concerts and festivals, like you're talking about with Carnival or sporting events or whatever, and it's just this amplification of of I mean, we'll call it happiness. Maybe depending how your team does, if it's a sporting event, there's
Yeah.
commiseration, but it's just,
The carnival has no losers.
right. So that kind
So
of a festival,
they're
right?
in, yeah.
So there's just I don't know. I think there's just a tremendous power in everybody coming together like that, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a the I was again back in Brazil for the carnival. Um, one of I had a company that had a lot of employees there anyway, and one of the staff, she was one of the quote organizers of the second night's location. Her job was to get a few friends together to start a procession to head to the park, which was probably a mile and a half away
Mm,
from the starting point. So I think I met her at noon-ish, somewhere around that time. There was nobody. Where we met was the little crossroads with a store on one corner, an empty lot. There was nothing there. It's almost
mhm.
rural location. And she had maybe 10 friends that she'd invited, or 10 or 12. So what do? We, after just saying hello, we get into the middle of the road, which was the only road, the main road into this little town.
Yeah.
And we start walking, and I would say within 5 minutes, there's 100 people. And by the time we got to the park, there were at least 25,000 people. And it's your point of, it just drew in everybody. They all know what to do anyway. It's not like we drew
Of
them
course, yeah.
in and it was a surprise. No, this is Carnival
Right.
and they're going to do it anyway. And but it's spontaneous. At one time, the Heineken mobile beer wagon came
Okay.
by. So I had never seen. I've got a picture of it. I don't have it with me, where they have spigots that stick out of the side of this.
Hmm.
Looks like a small oil tanker kind of thing. Little, it's the size of a pickup, big pickup truck. Anyway, and you can take your cup and just pour yourself a beer, and it just kind of goes a little bit along the crowd. It's driving along, giving away beer, Heineken. I assume it said Heineken on the side. I have no idea what the beer was. I don't drink,
I'm sure,
but
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I guess that adds to the festival feeling of it, as people are giving stuff away and whatnot. So
Hmm.
it's yeah, it's a fun time. How did we get into Halloween got us into Carnival. We
Yeah,
moved
just
up
we
the
did. Yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
something we touched on during the week, um, briefly, you and I, when we were texting back and forth, was um, the idea or the notion of waking up happy, I think was the
Ah,
phrase.
yes. So we didn't introduce the show. Do you want to?
Oh, I think everybody knows what the show is.
Oh, we're gonna splice one in. Okay, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yes, the so waking up happy every morning. Well, my cliche on that I made up for myself is that I wake up almost every morning happy, waiting for someone else to ruin it. But that's really that last part is not really true. I just it's one of the reasons I wrote the Happy Class book is I was wondering how it is I could wake up happy every morning despite
Yeah.
my up and down life, in
Mm-hmm.
reality,
Which is
or
everybody's life, right? Everybody's life is up and down.
got ups and downs, right? It's a
Mhm.
normal life that has, ups and downs and
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
but I wake up or down, I still wake up happy.
Hmm.
Um Sort of I tease people because it's hard to explain it sometimes that, they say, well, what are you happy about? And I say, well, I guess that I'm breathing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, why would I be happy? But then there's things I do, which I think is what we were heading to, that I do um, to kind of keep that going during, in the morning or reinforce it or whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And a couple I think we talked about. One of them is I make my bed.
Yeah.
Actually,
Hmm.
I have a contest with my wife. So again, we make fun out of nothing. Making your bed is probably a chore if you kind of want to list it on where it is in the
Hmm.
list of
Yeah.
things to do. I think most people would call it a chore. The last person out of bed has to make it. Okay.
Okay.
So
But so
that's the game.
there's rules. There's rules to the game. Okay.
There's game. That is the rule of the game. The last person makes it. And then sometimes, when you're feeling gracious, somebody else gets up later and you make it while they're in the shower because you're cool. You know, it's been known to have it because I tend to get up earlier than she does, so she loses more than I do on this thing. But I make it, and certainly when I'm alone, I make it, and it's done right away in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, and I think we were talking. It's a chore, but it adds to my actually instead of saying, "Oh, how terrible my life is," I have to make my bed. I don't have a maid that makes it for me or whatever I could complain about.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the studies say the same thing. It's a feeling of accomplishment. You've done something, and it's neat, it's tidy. You can see it's nicer. It looks nicer than an unmade bed. It just does. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my particular life, the next thing I do is I get on my exercise bike. I used to go running in the morning, but my knees don't want me to run on hills anymore. So
Funny how that happens. Yeah.
that happened a few years ago, more than a decade. So I've been on this stationary bike for a very long time.
Hmm.
And I change it up a little bit here and there, but basically it's 30 minutes of physical exercise. Uh, and based on what people do or how they talk about it, again, I find a significant percentage of people who consider that physical exercise they do whenever they do it a chore.
Mm,
So
mhm.
unless they're playing tennis or in your case, football slash soccer or something that's, more oriented to fun, they consider the actual exercise and a stationary bike, and mine is not a Peloton, mine is just the
Yeah.
bike.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, a chore, and then I do some weights and other things just to do something more than just pedal. But when the timer goes, the ding goes off that I've put in my 30 minutes,
Yeah.
once again, the little dopamine, shot of happiness goes into my brain.
Hmm.
Second thing I've done today,
Yeah.
and by the way, that's sort of it. I mean, taking a shower and brushing my teeth, I don't get any high. There's nothing about that chore that
Hmm.
does, but those other two, um, are, and I think part of it is to some degree, they're more optional than brushing your teeth, kind of thing. I mean, you kind of feel
Yeah.
like you have to brush your teeth or your teeth are going to fall out or whatever.
Mm.
So those don't, but you don't have to make your bed and you really don't have to do the exercise every day. And so when I've done them, I get a mental, um, gold star that I give myself somehow. I mean, I know because I walk down the hall back to my room bathroom to take a shower, and every time I come, I feel good about I stuck out the whole 30 minutes. I didn't cut off halfway through because this
Right.
is boring today. Because some days it's boring. I try to read and do other things while I'm doing it, but um, when I get it accomplished, and I do it in the morning for the very reason that we've talked about, which is I get the most benefit out of it mentally.
I,
You
I
know,
I've found that like I found that if I leave, I definitely get more benefits mentally, and it really launches my day. If I leave it to the end of the day, there's a greater chance that it will be more of a chore, or it may not happen, or something will come up to where I won't be able to make it to the gym or whatever, and it just won't happen. And I think for me, um, there's a trail right by the guy's school, and I'll drop them off, and if I can get out on the trail, and it's just even just a walk, it's a great it's just a great way. Like, you come back and your day's already off to a great start. But it's
yeah,
funny
that's
though
how it's
because
your day's off to a great start.
yeah,
And by the way, the exercise is actually good for you.
of
In
course,
addition, yeah,
yeah,
it's not like, I could have a great start eating some pizza. I mean, I could, I mean, I love pizza, but, probably having a big slice of pizza every morning is probably not as good for me as 30 minutes of exercise. So,
no doubt, yeah.
um,
I
so I
didn't
feel
I
better
didn't see
about
that in doctors' recommendations of you know
it's,
it's
you're trying to figure out whether pizza's slightly above or slightly below a half hour of exercise.
like dark chocolate and wine and pizza. I'll just get on the bike for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's
The
interesting. We had that chat a little bit during the week, and it made me more mindful. Of course, mindfulness is everybody's talking about it these days, but it just made me more mindful of how I was waking up in the morning.
ah,
And this morning, for whatever reason, I woke up and my body felt like crap. And I've got a few, I'm at an age, we talked about playing football, soccer. I'm at an age where I'm not it's all contextual, right? I'm not old, I'm not young, right? But I'm old. I'm at the kind of the top end for playing soccer. And I played a few weeks ago and I'm still feeling it. And so I woke up this morning, and the niggles and aches and the pains and my knees and everything, like, I woke up, my eyes woke up, I became aware, and I hurt. Like, my first thought and my first feeling of the day was, oh my God, my body hurts. That was the first thing. And started loosening up. I'm like, why is my body hurt so much? Like, it felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Like, it really did. I was like, oh man. And it's funny because
No,
touching on my,
getting hit by a truck is probably not funny, but keep going. I'm trying to
yeah,
track
yeah.
it here.
I mean, not in the moment, maybe afterwards it might be, but it was like what you said earlier came to mind, which was like, well, I'm breathing. I'm breathing. I'm like, okay, so it was almost like a mind shift. Now, I'm not even out of bed at this point, right? It was a mindset shift because I woke up, I'm like, and it was almost like that, how am I going to face the day feeling so achy and sore and everything? But it was a mindset shift of like, all right, we're okay, woke up breathing. But then this is the key piece of it, right? My
Okay.
wife was already up and the bed has to be made. Make the bed while you're in it.
Oh, you made it while you're crawling around on top of it.
No, you're in it. So
Oh, oh,
while you're in bed, you basically just starfish, get your feet out to the corners, get your hands out to the other corners, and you kind of smooth things out. And if you slide out the side, the bed's
I see.
almost
I
already
see.
made. You just give it a little
It's
tug on the
90%
corner.
made by then.
Done.
Yeah.
So even about like whatever about it takes the choriness out of the chore, if that's even a
You
word.
again, you gamified the yeah. No, the giving yourself these miniature challenges to give them a
Hmm.
nickname. And then sometimes you win, sometimes you can't do what you think you know that you don't win the
Yeah.
game. But the process of it is making whatever you're doing more fun. And it's like you said, it's a mindset. The chore was the same. You had to make the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. But
There's a reason why they have basketball hoop laundry baskets. Like there's a reason why those exist, you know? And like my son's 9 and you, we've been saying to him like as he because very often he's getting ready for bed and like sometimes you'll find hoodies and tracksuit pants and everything like in the corners of the bed and
oh, yeah.
everything all like. So we're like, hey, you know, do do us a favor, like get it in the laundry basket. But he gamified it because one night he's getting ready for bed and he takes his clothes off and he goes, Kobe.
Yeah.
He hit a terrible shot. I mean, it was awful. But he recognized it and I grabbed it and he made the second one. But but it's just one of those things. I think there's something to that. Like if we gamify stuff, if we make something fun, I feel like we're just naturally inclined as humans to fun, right?
Yeah, yes, I hesitate to nod too much in the fact that I think this is my comment about you watch kids, elementary kids on the playground, and 98% of them are having a great time during
Hmm.
recess or lunch or whatever, and watch a bunch of adults going to lunch, from their offices or wherever, and 90% of them don't have smiles on their faces. I mean, they're
Hmm.
just,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, 10%. So I, I do think innately, yes, we're attracted by fun, but I also think that something happens along the line where as you get older or have more complicated thoughts in your brain or your life seems more complicated, you have to make the effort mentally to keep it a game and to keep it fun,
Yeah. Hmm.
And since that's one of the things I I, I do is I try to make whatever meeting I'm in, whatever business I'm in, whatever, I'm trying to find where's the fun in this
Yeah.
project we're doing, whatever the project is.
Hmm.
And you know, like how many slides can we get done in 30 minutes? Okay, in our slide
Yeah.
presentation.
Yep.
We got 10 slides to do. My I got six and over. I got $10 on six and over, or so just you're just making out. You don't it doesn't have to be any money. Just, just come on.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know we can do this. And so along those lines, I had a beach house one time down in Los Angeles, and kids would come. My kids would all bring a friend, and there would be six kids and me, and we'd be heading to Santa Monica to the movie theater. And it's about from where the house was to the Third Street Promenade movie theaters, 20 to 30 minutes, depending on traffic and whatnot, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I had a digital clock in this Jeep that I had, a digital clock, and we'd I'd get the garage door open, ready to back out, and everybody got to pick a number. And the number was, when did I pull into the parking spot in the parking garage? Because I could get in the parking garage, but if the first, second, third floor, you could take
yeah.
another.
Okay.
So the kid that was winning and thought maybe he was cheering for an open spot. There's got to be an open, and so the whole process, which is somewhat boring, sitting in a car driving for 20, 25 minutes to a parking lot is a chore. Okay.
Yeah.
That became a very exciting game. And, I mean, if you ask these kids now, many, many years later, and you bring it, they'll start laughing, smiling about how much fun it was in the car, rooting for the light to change to
Cool.
red
Yeah,
or green,
yeah.
or, I mean, it was, come on, come on. So, and yeah, I would do my slightly over the speed limit speed. I didn't speed up or something. And I was not in the game. So I didn't have a
You
number in
didn't get to
the.
say you were just you were just
I'm just the driver here,
yeah,
So
yeah.
referee. I was like, I'm going to I'm taking the first spot that's open. I'm not going to pass it up.
Hmm.
I'm going to, let's go. We have the same park. And it was funny. It was a game that, because there were different kids who would come down with my three kids. So the very first time they played the game, by the time we hit the parking lot, they're all cheering. It was
Yeah,
that, it's an easy game to learn, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
So it became fun for everybody in the car. Everybody just picked a number. It was, like, and,
So
there was nothing to
it goes
win.
to
There was no
show
prize.
it goes to show how simple fun can be, and the fact that the fact that they still talk about it, or you just
Yeah.
have to mention it, and that it imprinted, it imprinted up on them,
Yeah.
right?
It's,
It's
it's, and my comment earlier was, I could have just driven in every time, which is
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
much. Uh, so when I got remarried to Busby, she had a son named Cannon,
Hmm.
and where she worked was a bit of a drive, and I didn't have to have that drive. So my chore became to take him to school, to middle school,
Hmm.
excuse me, in the car. And so again, we had, one radio in the car, normal car, and he had his songs that he liked, and I had my
Hmm.
songs that I liked, and they overlap a little bit, but not really. I mean, they do, but and so he had his stations on the push buttons, and I had my stations. And of course, he was like, I was driving, so he kept hitting his station. I said, I said, Cannon, Cannon. I said, this is my car, and I am driving, so I do own that radio. I
Hmm.
said, but on the other hand, you are, a passenger, even if you don't want to be. So I said, I think we need to, make this equal. Okay. That I control it half the time and you control it half the time. So we created this whole game about picking a song. So if you hit the button and if you didn't change it within 10 seconds to another one, okay, that was your song. If 80% of the song was over by the time you got the last 20, it's it, right? So I mean, and you should have
Oh, I
seen us
see.
having
Okay,
we
okay,
were
yeah.
just having we had more fun going. And so one time his DJ was playing where they don't end a song, they kind of start the second song during the ending. So there's no even moment of new song. They
Hmm.
kind of blended them. I don't know if they still do
Cross
much of that, but they
crossfade, yeah.
blended the second song and sometimes the third song. And I said, wait, wait, wait. That's a new song. He said, no, it's not. It never stopped. And I said, so I finally figured out how to have. I said, I said I could go back to my classical station. He said, okay, okay, that's only one song, because classical can go on for 30. The whole ride could be one song for me, right? And
Yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and so I threatened him with a long classical song, just in case he and that radio game, we would bring up, later about,
yeah,
uh, the fun of going to school together.
yeah.
and it was so I guess my comment being is everybody gravitates to fun, but often somebody's got to start it. Somebody's got to have that. Here's why this is fun. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things don't always just, they gravitate to it, but if no one's, so you got to make, I think you got to make an effort. Somebody has to make an effort. You can just be a
Yeah.
joiner, but if you're
Hmm.
if you're only a joiner and you never make an effort, then if the other person's only a joiner, the two of you are waiting waiting for fun to happen, and it doesn't, you know, you 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 have to kind of want it. And that's my guess my happy class thought would be um, practice starting it. Stick your neck out a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, I think you pointed out it's easy.
It can, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I like, um, there's a lot of guys on YouTube. Dude Perfect would be the primary example where they do all these trick shots, right? All these, and I'm sure you've seen them. I mean, they'll do shoot a basketball through a hoop from the, you know, top level of the stadium to a hoop on the field, that kind of thing. Or some of it's just like, get these ping pong balls into the cup at the end of the table by hitting it off, whatever. And going back to your point about the creator, I was with my son and we're at the store and they had ping pong balls there and I'm like, oh, let's get some of those. And he's like, what do we need those for? We don't have a ping pong table. And
Yeah. Hey, Dad.
I said, trick shots. And his eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. And so now he's in a whole different world of what are we going to do? So we come back and he's like, okay, what are we going to do? And I look around the garage and I see the camping box and stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I pull out a metal griddle here and I have some solo cups there. And I said, okay, bank off of that, off of this into the cup. And I set the cups up like bowling pins, right? With one in the front, two,
Yeah.
three, four, And we start doing that. And he's like, wait. Okay. So now we can start getting into the rules, right? Like
Yeah.
with
Oh, yeah.
the radio. And he's
Yeah.
going, wait, okay. Because there's four in the back, that's only 1 point. Okay. But then you get 2 points next row, 3 points. And if you get the front row,
Which
five
is only one pin or
Yep.
yeah.
5 points. I said, let's make it interesting. Let's make it 10. Oh, okay. And so we did this for an hour, 2 hours, and it stayed out. And we did it again the next day. And it cost me $1.50 in ping pong balls,
Yeah. Yeah.
some solo cups that I already had. Um, and it's a question I use a lot in interviews, when I'm talking to somebody because I'm not deliberately trying to throw people. I don't believe in doing those type of interview questions of how would you wash all the windows of all the buildings in Seattle or anything like that. But my question is very simple.
But I just saw you have the answer to that Seattle question. You're going to tell me later.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course, yeah.
Okay.
So, but my question is, what do you like to do for fun? And it's real simple, but I think it can tell you a lot about a person. And there's I think as we go through life, sometimes we can lose sight of having fun.
Yeah.
And there's an influencer um that I follow on Instagram. Shout out to Claire P. Thomas. And she does a lot of workouts and stuff like that. But one of the things that she does is reminder 20 minutes of fun every day. And it was so simple. And she's shooting hoops,
Yeah.
like just shooting hoops,
Right.
what from all different parts of the key. And it was, again, fun can be so simple, but sometimes you need the creator to bring you there, or just a reminder of
Oh, it's just a reminder. You can do it yourself, and that's the thing. That I guess the instruction is to do the fun, but actually become your own fun creator. You or people around you. at
Yeah.
times. You don't have to be the only fun creator around. It's not an ego position.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, you know, if you get into creating fun, especially when you're by yourself, um, then whenever you want to pull it out, um, you've got it.
Mm.
You know, I can make fun. I mean, it's like you said, it's very easy.
Yeah.
I get a little surprised. I don't know if there's an exact opposite to the word fun. I know you could look it up while I'm saying that and tell
I
me
won't. I won't.
what the opposite words are to that. But boring would be
That's where I was going with
on
it. Yeah.
somebody's list of, you know, if you're having fun, if you're not having fun, you're maybe you're bored. You might just be peaceful. Okay. I'm you
Mm,
know, it doesn't have to be boring. But
mm,
anyway, um, whenever somebody makes a comment, especially a younger person who makes a comment that says they're, you know, I'm bored with life, my life is boring. I'm like, uh, you know, if I had the time, I would be giving. I'll give them a copy of this episode.
yeah.
You know, I mean, literally, this is what they need to hear is they have it. You have everything inside your brain to make it fun. You
Yeah.
don't need any lessons from Paulie or Jim. You don't need anything from anybody. You may need some ping pong balls occasionally, but you know, it is a very short list of ways to create something that you find fun.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it's you
And
know,
I hear that sometimes. I hear that with the kids in terms of, oh, I'm bored, and my initial reaction, like on a top level, can be disbelief, right?
yeah.
How are you bored? You have look at all the
Compared
technology.
to how I grew up, you have
Yeah,
the world in
I
front of
know,
you.
and then I started, but my son is starting to make fun of me when I start to go there. When I start to go there,
Yeah, yeah,
the kid's only 9, right? But when I start to go there, now he just starts saying to me, "Back in my day," and
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh man, would you stop?" So, yeah, I'm incredulous because I'm going, "You have game, I didn't have a game console when I was a kid. I didn't have tablets. I didn't have this. I didn't have that." Um,
But it's not about those things, is it?
no, no, it's
Yeah,
not, and I realize that.
yeah, yeah. It's it's all up in your brain. You know, fun is purely something you create, and you can create it for others. They can join your fun, or
Hmm.
they'll have their own version of it, but they'll have fun with you. So yes, it can be collaborative. But um, you were it reminded me of another make my bed story. See, we can get this right back into make my bed. So this has to do with my first wife. Now that we talk about, you know, fun. Anyway, so in that particular marriage, we made the bed together.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
All
Hmm.
right. So we would make the bed. We changed the bed together. We didn't make it together.
Yeah.
Bad story. When it was time to change the sheets, that was a joint activity. So we'd make the bed, but then we'd be left with the pillows and the pillowcases.
Hmm.
And we would have a pillowcase stuffing race. You know, and you had to get it done and fluff it back up on the bed. Okay.
Yeah.
And, you know, there, and of course you'd make the bed almost as fast as you could do it in order to get to the
Hmm.
race,
Yeah, yeah.
the actual game, because the game was just the pillow. It wasn't the rest of it. And, you know, so again, it's, there, and I guess my comment would be if you listen to Paulie and GP, you'll hear constantly where someone, not necessarily, I don't know who invented the game of stuffing the pillow, it doesn't matter. We've built in fun in a chore. And
Yeah.
you know, so I think that has to do with how we opened this part of the show, which is why do I wake up happy in the morning? I probably went to bed happy about some silly game or something,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have fun today. That's
Yeah.
one thing I know I'm going to have. I mean, I may have a terrible day, but I know during it I'm going to have fun because
Right.
I create for myself and sometimes for others, you know, fun moments fun periods of time, something fun to do that, you know, is just, and lots of times it's just a one-off, like, can I make this shot? And then when I
Yeah.
can't, and I go get it, and all right, 2 out of 3, or well, I'll just, pretty soon I'm
Yeah.
challenging myself to have, and I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I'll have fun cleaning up my room, have fun doing any of these things.
Going back to the simplicity of fun, because it doesn't have to be, yeah, so complicated. A
Not at
couple
all.
of examples I wanted to touch on with the boredom examples. When my son is saying, I'm bored, right? There's two things that I draw on, and it's really simple. We do this or that, and we do who would win. So this or that
Yeah.
is, oh, okay, you're bored. Favorite fast food restaurant? Go. Carl's Jr. or Chick-fil-A? He goes, Chick-fil-A. I'm like, Chick-fil-A or McDonald's? He goes, Chick-fil-A. I'm like, Chick-fil-A or In-N-Out? He goes, whoa, In-N-Out. In-N-Out. Now I have to be strategic because I know that In-N-Out is definitely his top favorite. So if I say In-N-Out first, it's just not going to
It's
be
going to get boring.
as
Yeah.
fun because it's going to be In-N-Out all the way. So we
Then
do,
you can go to In-N-Out French fries or McDonald's French fries.
yeah,
See?
you could get
Ooh,
specific, right?
now,
Right. And
we're
so,
back into,
if you just explore food, you could do that with chocolate bars. You can do it with
yes.
fruit. You can do it with restaurants. You could do it with cereal. You can do. We've done it with chips like Doritos and
And you
Cheetos.
realize that's how they started Facebook, right?
Hot or not? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Gamifying the whole thing.
They've gamified the Facebook they got when they were freshmen in college.
Yeah. The other thing we do is who would win, and very often it's animals, right? So who would win? Alligator versus gorilla, lion versus cheetah, giraffe versus flamingo, like that, whatever it is, that just randomly. I mean, there's so many things to draw on, but what's fun is to explore the why. Okay, giraffe
Yeah.
versus
Oh, you made an
giraffe versus
educational
flamingo.
fun game. Are you
Yeah,
allowed to have education and fun at the same? I guess you
yeah,
are.
yeah. Oh, giraffe all the way. Well, why? Well, because they're bigger. But wouldn't the flamingo be able to, like, just run in between their legs and, well,
Heck,
what are they going
Adam.
to do? Peck them to death? Like, it just, and suddenly, there's no mention of boredom anymore, and
Uh,
we're just kind of,
the world is not boring.
it really isn't.
Yeah, there's you can say a lot of negative things about it, but boring is not on the list.
No,
Uh,
no, it surely isn't. It
you,
surely.
you,
I think so much of it too is just a maybe the boredom is it's not a lack of creativity.
no,
It's just getting into that mindset or the rut of just. I don't know. Again, it's similar to me waking up and being like, "Oh my God, I'm so sore," and just that mindset of like, how do we change this, right? So
yeah,
if you're bored, how do you change that into something that looks more like happiness? Okay, well, what could we do that's fun, right? If you're waking up and you're dreading the day, how can you shift that into, I mean, whether it's fun, like gamify making the bed, or
yeah,
just something, and sometimes it's just in the little things, like you you um you get up, you make your bed, you jump on the bike. Um, I just make the coffee here, and it's that sip, that first and I up to a few years ago, I was not a coffee drinker. It was all tea, like being Irish, it was like tea.
yeah.
But there's just that moment of just like a sip of coffee. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. You know, once I'm caffeinated, I can take on the day.
Well, and to back to the exercise thing in the morning, to give you or give the audience some idea of, okay, so I guess some mornings just riding the bike, I get like, all right, kind of. A half hour is a long time. Um, the I added a balance. So um, that's a long story in that one of the worst things that can happen to people who get old enough that their bones get more brittle, it
Hmm.
happens with age. You can't do much about it. Is if you fall, and that's not good. So
Yeah.
having a good balance is something, and
Mm.
it turns out you can actually improve your balance with some. They call them balance exercises, but basically it's just standing on one foot in different ways.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could call them exercises if I was trying to, have an exercise class and show and charge for it.
Mhm.
But the truth is, it's literally just standing on one foot. And there's all kinds of studies I love to read. So, but the game I create, I have two games. I stand on one foot for 60 seconds on some unsteady surface. By the way,
Mm.
carpeting is unsteady, so big carpeting, but you can board something.
Yeah.
Um, and I won't bore you with how I gamified it a little more than just 60 seconds, but if I fall off, do I start over? Do I add it on and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, I
Yeah.
add it
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
because I don't want to be standing there all day. The more difficult thing and really tells you much more about your balance is, and you can try this at any age, okay? Um, close your eyes and stand on one foot, okay? Now, it turns out that whether you're wearing shoes or not is generally not important to
Mm.
this equation, so you can be barefoot or not. A flat surface, not a piece of carpeting, makes quite a bit of difference
Hmm.
to whether or not you can stay. And if you can do 10 seconds, as you're doing well. Okay.
Only 10, just 10
10
seconds.
seconds with your eyes closed. No cheating. You can't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I made it. No, 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 no. No, no. It's tick, tick, tick. Okay. It's real seconds. So you got to count slowly. Um, and for people over 60 or 65, I think the average is either 3 or 4 seconds is all they can last.
What? Why is
One
that?
foot with your eyes closed, arms at your side, not out balancing, arms at your side. Just close your eyes. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you're looking up or down because your eyes are closed. We don't care. Okay. And uh, so I made a game out of that as to, how many tries I give myself, how many seconds. If I get to 10, like this morning, I hadn't done it in a while. It's a longer story that I hurt myself, so I wasn't doing this. So this morning was the first time, and my left foot, I got to 9, then I dropped to
Mm.
6. I do it 3 times.
Yeah.
Got on my right foot, which is usually not my best foot because that's where I hurt my knee. 19 seconds, a new world record. I should write this down on the chart. I was so excited. I mean, you would have thought, what Dodgers in the World Series? I mean, I did 19 seconds on my right foot. Okay. It's a game.
Yeah.
It's a game I
But
play whenever I do that exercise. And you know, um, it's like it's so easy to turn it into a game.
yeah.
I know the medical thing was 10 seconds. I mean, that's, there's an actual, it's not based on anything super, that I could see, but it was basically if you can do 10 seconds with your eyes closed at 60 or over. I don't know at your age, you might have to do a little longer, but because your balance should be better, but you should look it up and see how many seconds and then try it. And I did this with a bunch of my friends a couple of months ago when I was visiting an older group of friends. I, I mean, I couldn't get to 2 seconds on most of them. They couldn't, they couldn't close their eyes. I mean, they close it and they put their other foot down. Okay. I mean, it was that fast. It was like, wait, wait, I can't get my stopwatch started. I didn't have a stopwatch, but
I guarantee you, as we're having this discussion, half the audience is already standing on one foot with their eyes closed.
yeah.
So
Yeah, not and no arms out. The arms at your side.
if
It's,
if you're listening to this, please go to thehappyclass.com/waiver and sign that waiver.
yeah.
We are not responsible for any
Yeah,
injuries
we are not.
during
Yeah.
our balance
Yeah.
thing. But I think I think with the gamification, so the gamification and making it fun is great. But what you just touched on as well is when you win and what
Oh, yeah.
happens, right?
Yes, how
Because
excited
like
I got.
19 seconds that it
That
kind of
happened hours ago, and I can still pump myself up for that 19 seconds. Come on.
yeah. You know, and it's funny that you touch on doing it with your friends. So I have an Apple Watch, and as part of the fitness with the Apple Watch, you can challenge your friends or just kind of connect to friends and see what they're doing. And so I'll get notifications of some of my friends, some of them who are much older than me, who are doing workouts, and you know, so and so just did an hour of Pilates, so and so just did 4 mile runs, and your watch goes off, right? You get this little notification and you go, all right, all right, okay, all right, okay, you know. And
Yeah.
you can go back and you can be like, congratulations, or send them an emoji like, great job, fire, muscles, whatever. Um, but you look at
They
the
have one that just says green with envy.
yeah, yeah,
That'd be mine. Green with
yeah.
envy.
He was like, oh man. But it's funny how how they've used that and built that in with the Apple Watch with
Yeah.
gamification as well, you know.
Yeah, they want you to use the device. The
Yeah,
more you
yeah.
use it, the more you'll tell friends it's a good idea to own one. But yeah, I mean, waking up happy in the morning is not just by chance.
Hmm.
That's, sort of how we open this thing. And if it's these little things about what I said earlier, you and I are probably going to expect some fun during the day. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is, what I'm doing that day, 99% of the time. I suppose
Yeah.
if I were, start waking up in the morning, putting my shoes on, and then walking as far as I could, and then going to bed, maybe that wouldn't be a day that although, I'd probably try to figure out how to gamify that, you know. Yeah, well, how many
I'm sure
steps in
you'll
a
come up with
minute?
something. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Can I walk some back? I had a friend who got into marathoning. He was still in his 20s. This is a long time ago. So he practiced running backwards for a long time and
Hmm.
built up a good stamina so that he ran the Boston Marathon backwards. With he had two friends with him who ran alongside of him to make sure he
Hmm.
didn't run into anybody. But he wasn't super fast. I mean, but he ran. I mean, he wasn't walking backwards. He was yeah. And so he was, instead of getting bored running a marathon, which I would never have been bored, but he'd run so many of them, I think, and he wasn't super fast. I mean, it wasn't like he was a competitor. He just did it for the fun.
That's still
Just like wearing a costume,
insanely, yeah.
he ran it backwards. It's the same thing as the beta breakers, people who wore these silly costumes, while they're running. It's just making fun out of, and moving fun from fun to super fun. It's like watching people when they go to a sporting event,
Hmm.
and then they have the dance cam,
Yeah,
or the kissing cam or something. They're adding fun to something that probably is already fun.
yeah.
They're just there's no shortage of. It's not like,
Hmm.
okay, we have a base level and we're done. No, no, you know you can add. I think what is it? Backgammon has that, right? So do you know how to play backgammon? If
I
that
do not know how to play backgammon.
Okay, so in backgammon, I mean, there's a regular game of backgammon. It's a lot of fun. It is actually reasonably complicated. Like, it's maybe not as complicated as chess, but it's fairly complicated. But if you're more than an average player, or I would say not average, but a different word. But anyway, player, there's a die that comes in it, and it's got 2, 4, 8. It's multiples
Hmm.
on the six sides. And so as you're playing the game, if you, let's say, wagered a beer or something,
Hmm.
the guy, and either one can do this, but it's usually the guy that's ahead. He picks up that die and he turns it from the 1 to the 2, and he says, "We're doubling the bet, and you either concede or you just doubled your bet."
Okay.
Okay. So you can, so you could use the doubling to get the other, and there's a whole dimension now. Oh, what are my odds of making a comeback? I mean, is he really ahead of me? I mean, you're playing a game, but now you've got to play a second game of uh, you know, is this worth the gamble? I mean, am I ahead or behind? Da 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 da. And
Hmm.
and it's just, if it's even, yeah, yeah, we're doubled. Sure, why not? But two beers, great. Who cares? But at some point, it's like, so they built this game inside the game.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Um, and there's tons of that. The video people do that all the time. There's like 20 games inside these, Mario Kart and all this stuff, where oh, yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have
They're
stars? Do you have
running.
hearts? Do you have ponies? Do you have this? And da, da, da. Have
Yeah.
you collected the number of that? And they're You have the magic sword. Oh, you just have the double magic sword. Well, there's a triple magic sword.
So it's really interesting that you touch on that because I was talking about this with some parents recently on kids and mobile devices and games on mobile devices and game currencies within the games. So
Yeah.
like Fortnite, for instance, or Roblox has Robux, or one of the games a lot of the kids are into now is Brawl Stars. And like that, it gets you the special magic sword or the armor, or sometimes it's just a new skin or whatever. And it's been interesting to even to see this in conversations, being a soccer coach for kids, and I see the conversations they're having. And sometimes they have their devices and they're showing things to each other, and they're like, "Oh, I got this and I got that," and but they've paid for this typically
Yeah.
with cash
Was
from
their parents' cash?
parents, right? And so I'm, you know, I've seen it's really interesting to see it's like the gambling aspect of it coming out and what it does to the kids and how they're like, oh, I have to get this or I have to get that, and I've I've given $5 here, $10 there, but it's almost like creating a monster because now they're like, can I get another $10? And it's like, well, no, you just 2 days ago we did this, but I need this and I need that, and it's a little worrisome to be honest. And having grown up playing games myself, I didn't have a console or anything, but eventually, we'd get into doing games. But there was a process of going through and like beating the top boss or whatever, and you didn't typically pay to play. You just played until you figured it out. You know what I mean? So it's as I said, it's
Well,
interesting.
you bring up a good point with it being a parent. Um, the um, thing, the lesson is okay. Your allowance is X, or whatever financial system you have with that
Hmm.
child at that age, and that's what I'm giving a nickname we call real money. It's not really real, but that we'll get
Yeah.
that conversation's its own. That's a different podcast than happy.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
And so that, it can be used to buy Andy. It can be used to buy that, baseball card you want, whatever, toy, or it can be used to buy the magical, but, it's not beg your dad for the money to buy a candy bar. In other words, you want to,
Yeah.
this is your money, you spend it. And um, I mean, if the kid spends all his money on magical swords, then it's okay. I mean, they've made. I don't want ice cream. Okay,
Yeah. So
yeah,
so it's
I'd
interesting.
rather have a magical sword than an ice cream cone. Got it. And they're
Yeah.
learning a very, I think, valuable lesson in a world of not infinite resources. Okay, you're going to make this choice all the time.
So this happened yesterday. Exactly what you're talking about happened yesterday, where my son had $5 in cash in his hand, and he said, "Dad, can I spend by $5?" And I said, "What are you going to spend it on?" Knowing he wanted to spend it on Brawl Stars, right? Because
Yeah.
and he said, "Well, there's this skin that I need," and I just, and I was like, "Okay." I said, "Do you think that's a good investment of your money?" And he was just blank. And I said, "So what if you spent it on that, or what if you saved it for something else?" And he's still looking at me like it's just not getting through. Because in this moment, all he wants is the magic sword kind of thing, right?
We all want the magic sword, by the
Right.
way. Yeah.
So I said to him, so think of it this way. You can get the magic sword and it will do XYZ for you in this moment and in this game. And in 2 days' time, you're going to want to get another magic sword. And then they're going to dangle a third magic sword in front of you and you're going to want that. I said, or I'll put it to you this way. hold that $5, and if you still have that $5 by next Saturday, I will put $10 on top of it. Oh, oh,
Investment, the deferred gratification, the whole,
yeah, right.
no,
And
it's
I
the,
said, so that 10, I said, now you have $15. I said, no, hold on. If you do that, I'm not saying you can then take that $15 and spend it on the magical
swords.
sword in the game. I said, but think, I said, that gets you the new soccer ball you're looking at, or that gets you the other thing. And so you could see the wheels turning like, oh, okay, like the delayed gratification, like,
Oh, the whole concept. There's a whole bunch of concepts in there that I think can be taught using these games. They're social. They're all the negative things that they write about are also all the positive things that they write. It's the same. You just flip the
yeah,
coin, and it's underneath here is they're meeting kids online that are actually kids. Okay, they
yeah,
don't. Not
mhm,
everybody's a predator that plays these games. All right.
yeah,
And there's a bunch of those mathematical skills, the deferred gratification skills, the thinking it through skills that are happening, and they're happening in the background anyway. But if you're, in your case, bringing them into the foreground and accentuating them, even better.
mhm, yeah.
Better lesson, learned faster. Nice work, Dad. You can take the weekend off. Oh no, you have kids. Taking the weekend off is no, no,
No,
no,
not an
no,
option. Not
no,
an
yeah,
option.
not at all. I'll take the weekend off for you.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of gift I can give. Yeah.
All right,
All
sir. I'm gonna
right.
need to get going.
Yeah. We're gonna take pardon?
I'm gonna need to get going.
I was gonna
This
say
is great, though.
we're gonna wrap this puppy.